Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video is going to be a recap of Session 1 of my AD&D First Edition Shadows of the Past campaign. So as you can see by the image on the screen, this particular group is 7 players, so fairly large group, and I intended it to be that way because sometimes players can't make it, which was certainly the case with our first session, where we had to do a schedule change, and at least 2 of the players weren't able to make that schedule. So I kept the first, the first session fairly light. There was no combat. It was just initial contact with the village of Hamlet and just building up some capacity for those player characters that were there to make contacts with potential mentors, because in AD&D First Edition, low-level characters actually need someone a few levels higher than them in order to train them in between earning the experience and then actually getting the level up. So I started building the capacity for that in the village of Hamlet as well. And so that worked out really well. Now, to integrate those 2 other player characters is going to be very, very easy, and I'll talk a little bit about that once I switch screens. Really stoked about this campaign because, as I've been mentioning, AD&D First Edition for the modern player is really focused on bringing players who have never played AD&D First Edition before into the fold, or they've had very, very limited experience playing AD&D. And at least one of my players, who's fairly young, 14 years old, and he's never played a tabletop role-playing game before. So that's going to be really exciting for me, and I'm sure for the other players as well, to bring somebody in who is truly new to the hobby and to introduce them to introduce him to AD&D First Edition is just really exciting for me. So without further ado, let me shift screens here and go to my Roll20. So here we have the landing page. So for all of my games that I run on Roll20, I always create a landing page. I think it's a great place to have the players enter into Roll20, and so they're looking at their characters and any status that they might have from the previous session. They can check out their experience, not their experience, I'm sorry, their current hit points and whatnot. Now, what you see here is I put a little flag to indicate the players who were at the last session. So that way I have a real quick reference when I refer back to this, well, who was actually there, and it will help me with the recaps as well. Let me introduce you very quickly to the player characters who are present. And so I will scroll this down here. So we have Fathawan the Druid, who is played by Ivan. Ivan played in my AD&D First Edition campaign, The Keepers of Quescaton. Back in 2021 we started that, and he played for several weeks. So he played for a couple of weeks, and I was his player in his D&D Beck Me campaign prior to that. So when Ivan said that, hey, he's actually available to play in this on Friday evenings, especially on an alternating schedule, I welcomed him in. So he's one of my semi-experienced players with AD&D First Edition. If I'm misquoting that, then but I was welcomed him to come back into the group because he's really a great player, and he's a great dungeon master as well. So I was happy to have him here. Fenmir is a thief. He is played by Offgrid. Now, Offgrid is a returning player for me, but he has played in anything but AD&D First Edition. He's played in my my Fallout campaign, and he's played in, I'm pretty sure, my Shadow Dark campaign as well. So it was nice to bring him in to to first edition. I believe he started playing, and again, I may misquote because so many players, I kind of mix and match them. Um, I believe he started playing with second edition, so he'd never played first edition before. Um, Also present was Lucius, the illusionist, played by Caius, and going to be really interesting to see because illusionists, and this came up in our discussions. Illusionists are really interesting because as they go up in level, some of their spells can actually affect those in the ethereal plane or share space in both the prime material and the ethereal plane, like ghosts and such. And so they're going to be really, an illusionist. I've always known that illusionists are actually really quite versatile later on as well. They have some pretty powerful spells even at lower levels, and they get access to certain spells, even that if it's shared with magic users at a lower level than magic users. Then we have Sho Rengate, and he is a ranger played by Adam, and Ranger is the only frontline fighter at this point that has played so far, waiting on the half-orc fighter to come in later on. We had Acolyte Zephyr. This is a cleric. He's a cleric of Celestius, and he is played by General Han Solo. Not of the Star Wars fame, but obviously a Star Wars fan. He is a half-elf cleric, and he's going to play a role fairly early on, and I'll get into some of the story as it started to lay out. So I gave them all an introduction, and their introduction, let me just make sure we'll switch views here. So they are in Verbabonk. The year is 600 CY. All right, Shadows of the Past, campaign begins. I'm not going to let too much show up here, but the adventurers are directed to make their way to the village of Hamlet by their mentors, temple, or guilds, or for separate purposes, all but one. All right, so they're all going there for their own particular goals. They're looking for adventure. Here are the players. Actually, the druid changed his name, so I'll change that up. Here's some of the rumors that they picked up thus far. So about 2 weeks ago, 2 zombies had entered the village from the east and attacked a farmer. Actually, I changed it where he was not killed, so they can go and talk to the farmer in a little bit. So he was not killed. The town priests and guards responded and destroyed the zombies, and there'll be a cemetery, which they already learned about the existence of a cemetery off to the that would be the east of Hamlet. The druid of the old faith that resides in Hamlet has spotted packs of gnolls near the ruins of the moat house, so that's their first link to possibly checking out the moat house. They also learned about this abandoned mine that is just north of the forest, north of the moat house, and they also learned about a lone grave. That's kind of a mysterious grave that was recently discovered, and so they have the potential of checking those things out as well. So going back to that first session, let's get you into the, I switched views, sorry. Let's go back to the village itself. So I'm going to switch views here and try to drag the right thing here. So, and now let's see. So you're looking at the same thing. So here's the village of Hamlet. This is the map, and basically pulled it off. Now, if you're watching my channel, you saw I recently bought the the adventure module, off of eBay. Got it for a really great price, and it's in awesome condition. So they entered in from the north, and they entered in 2 separate groups. There was a group of 3 that kind of and they were all in the same caravan, but the 3 knew each other, and they had gone to the church. And actually, let me just mark off the church so that we know the places that they had gone to. And I want to make an ellipse And let's say, oh, I can do this too. I can do, and let's copy. And so the church, I'm going to paste. So they encountered the church, they went into the church, they met not the head priest of this particular church, but a lower ranking priest of the church. And that's where they heard some of the rumors about the attack of the zombies on this farmer, the farmer over here at 23. They haven't gone there yet to investigate. They then chose to go further into the village, and they went to the Tavern of the Welcome Wench, in which case they met with the innkeeper, purchased a room for the group. It's a community room for the group, so that while they're staying here, they have some place to stay. They learned about another attack on the stonemason where his outside shed was set on fire. They learned that there was a druid that resides here, and so they went down and they visited with the druid, and the druid told them about the gnolls that were raiding to the east of here, or seen around the ruins of the moat house. So they're picking up all of these little shreds of adventures that might lead to something bigger, or just might remain fairly small, mundane type things, or side quests, or whatever you want to call them. And they started to learn that the town is actually building up this new fortress over here, and they're trying to figure out, like, why would such a small village be looking to build this massive fortress? What do they perceive as an impending threat? To the point that they're going to invest all of the time and whatnot into building this huge fortress that they're looking to build. So so far, all that's built is this tower over here, and so they're going to take a look and investigate that. They learned that the stonemason, when they met with him, is actually working on building this, and he was brought in about 2 months ago. So again, it has their curiosity raised as to what's going on. Who set fire to his shed? They did discover, they cast a detect magic, and they detected a residue of magic around the shed. So they believe that a magical fire was used to try to set the stonemason's home on fire. And then they made plans to go meet with the village elders the next morning. So when we pick up the next session, they will have the village elders, they'll be meeting with the village elders, and that is where the other two player characters can easily be introduced, all right, to the campaign, and we'll go forward from there and see which place they really want to go to next. So it's really coming together well. I'm going to switch views. It's really coming together well, at least in my opinion. I think the players had a good time with it. Some express that, hey, it's really cool to be playing, in this system. So I think that there's some excitement about actually playing, AD&D First Edition, and I'm going to continue to encourage that by making sure that the rules of the game fully support both player agency, and it handles some of the issues sometimes with AD&D First Edition, is that the leveling, as compared to modern games, the leveling tends to be kind of slow in comparison. And so I've been looking at ways to increase the amount of experience points that they gain, not by loading them up with a tons of treasure, or having it be very, very combat focused, but by having the players utilize their character's skills in innovative ways and meaningful ways, as well as their role playing, and their role playing will get bonuses as well. So I'm hoping that the experience growth of the players is really well balanced between role playing, combat, treasure, and then the overall experience, participation, engagement, and whatnot. So I'm really looking to move them along a little bit faster than what I did in my previous campaign, but not anywhere as close to like what you'd see in milestone leveling, which I'm really adamantly opposed to, because I don't think it allows for characters to be developed well enough between those early levels in particular, and then even at later levels. I think that it just creates too much of a power curve. And if I'm running with a group of 7 player characters, I've done as many as 8, I've done as many as 10. You know, Going with 7 is still a fairly large group. I'm glad that the group is well mixed, so there's no duplicate classes, and I think that it'll work really well as far as my crafting experiences for them to engage with. That will still be challenging, even considering their numbers, and not overly so. So they'll be interesting. They'll be much more interesting than just you're going out and you're going to fight a whole bunch of goblins, let's say, when they're 3rd or 4th level. That's just not going to be a challenge for them, and it'll be pretty mundane. So for having a group of 7 players, and 7 player characters, you can up the challenge level right from the get go. They should be able to handle with some challenge 3 hit die creatures, maybe 1 or 2 of them. Well, certainly more than 1, but 1 or 2 of them, or 1 with some minor companions along with it as well. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. So we're not playing this week. I'll be prepping for this week, and then it'll be next week. So that will be our next session. Eventually, I might move this campaign if the players are really engaged with it and everything, and we can all shift to a weekly schedule. I might certainly consider doing that as well. So really excited about it. Really, looking forward to getting this campaign, into the more intrigue and into some of the challenge and whatnot. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're one of my players, feel free to jump in there in the chat, introduce yourself, let us know what player character you're playing, and what your first experience was, positive or negative, or let me know what you'd like to see better, and I don't mind you putting that out there on the on my channel in the comments section. For those of you that are watching along and not actually engaged in this, please feel free to put your comments in there as well. And I look forward to seeing all of you on a gaming screen sometime soon, or at a convention. And just keep on gaming out there, keep on enjoying. Remember to subscribe, hit the alert button, like and share, and do all of that stuff. Comment, absolutely comment. And you have a great rest of your day. Take care.